Great Britain had become a world superpower to be reckoned with. Britain also defeated the French in the West Indies, the Spanish in Cuba, and had new footholds in the Philippines and even way over in India. Peace was restored in North America in 1763 with the Treaty of Paris. England got all of Canada and America east of the Mississippi River, and in a separate treaty, Spain got back Cuba and a huge area west of the Mississippi. Once war was over and England had won an empire, it had an enormous debt to pay. Seeing as how Great Britain protected the colonies for years from hostile forces, they began to demand taxes. For decades past, the colonies enjoyed protection and legitimacy under the English government. They were allowed to flourish under the rule of the British Crown. But then came the taxes. And the colonies decided they were grown up enough to govern themselves. The Brits taxed newspapers, documents, stamps, sugar, coffee, wine, paint, tea. They taxed just about everything. This displeased the American colonists. And the Americans protested and boycotted British imports. They also began smuggling goods into port just to avoid taxation. And they also occasionally brutally tarred and feathered tax collectors. I imagine the tar was way worse than the feathers. The colonies were in a state of general unrest. By 1768, regiments of British troops were transferred from the frontier to Boston to deal with the growing problems. The Americans did not want them there. The real trouble erupted in 1770 when a crowd began tossing snowballs and rocks at a company of British redcoats guarding the custom house. Now, the way it supposedly went down is, the Brits managed to stay calm despite the growing crowd when a large club-wielding escaped slave named Crispus Attucks grabbed a musket and struck one of them soldiers to the ground. The British opened fire. When it was over, 5 civilians lay dead and dying, and the incident further worsened relations with England. After a couple of quiet years, there was trouble again when the British East India Company had 17 million pounds of tea on its hands. So the British government gave the company a monopoly on the American tea business. This left colonists no alternative but to pay a tea tax. They really liked their tea. So, on December 16, 1773, colonists disguised as Native American Indians boarded ships in the Boston Harbor and smashed 342 chests of tea and dumped it into the harbor. King George III was not amused by the colonists' disrespect. He passed what is known as the Intolerable Acts, which closed Boston Harbor from sources of food, medical supplies, and other goods, installed a British general as governor of Massachusetts, and took away the right to hold town meetings. Stay tuned in next time while we talk about the Minuteman Network. All Revere's ride. The shot heard round the world. and the American strategy of guerrilla warfare.